Hello, my fellow adventurers in agility. Quick question. If you were the one handing out quests to adventurers, would you hire your D&D party? Imagine you're a monarch looking for a group of people to save the world. Would you look at your party and think, yeah, I can trust this group to get the job done? If that were me, especially if I wanted to build a lasting partnership, I'd be looking for a group that is resilient, can do everything, and has good and healthy team dynamics. Nothing in the rules of D&D really support healthy team dynamics though, but we can use them as a framework for points 1 and 2. So what does party resilience look like? To me, it means there's no single point of failure. In D&D terms, if one member is taken out, the rest can still have a fair chance of completing the mission. Imagine having an ultra-specialized group where one person does all the damage, another does all the healing, and so on. If the healer goes down, nobody else can resurrect them. It's better if there's some overlap in the skills so that other people can pick up the slack in a pinch. That's why I'd look for a party of T-shaped individuals. And these are people who have deep knowledge and skills that allow them to specialize, but also have capabilities which are definitely shallower in other areas. So instead of hiring the fighter who is the best at punching but can only punch things, I'd rather hire a slightly less specialized fighter who can also heal a little. Now on to the second point. Unless I have a very specialized job to be done, I'd look for a group that can do everything, because that means I can ask them to do anything. I think for the business of saving the world, a well-rounded team is better equipped than one that's only good at sneaking around, for example. So to sum up, I'd look to hire a group of T-shaped people with some overlap in skills so that they can be resilient. They should cover a variety of capabilities to overcome any challenge they face. And they should ideally like each other, or at least be able to work well together. This is what I would call an agile party. So here's my take on the quintessential agile party for D&D 5th edition 2014. What a wise decision, Jarek, to make this video with the new PHP coming out in just a couple of weeks. What were you thinking? Anyway, this isn't the only agile party in the game. Just a good example in my opinion. When putting it together, I focused on covering the 3 pillars: combat, exploration, and social interactions. These are the people I will hire if I had the budget to recruit 4 adventurers to save the world. I won't go into a lot of detail for each build, but let me know in the comments if you have any questions. It starts with the HexPal, a filthy Hexblade Paladin. That aura of protection is just too good to pass up because it increases everyone's defenses. We go Hexblade so we can focus on maxing out our charisma, but we're still using a good amount of strength to be able to wear heavy armor without penalty, and to serve as the main strong guy of the group. I know the heavy armor penalty could be offset by using mounts, but the party needs someone who is decently strong anyway. I would go custom lineage to get dark vision and that extra feat, and I'll choose Polearm Master at level 1 so we can have 2 attacks right from the start. For the rest of the feats or ASIs, I'd go Warcaster, Sentinel, max out our charisma, increase our strength to an even number, and resilient constitution for immunity to pot shots breaking our concentration. You could also choose to go half-elf for extra skill proficiencies and stat points, but you'll need to forego one of these feats. We take the mercenary veteran background so we can be proficient in athletics, persuasion, insight, and intimidation. We go level 1 paladin, level 2 hexblade, and then go back to paladin until the end to get our auras all the way out to 30 feet in all directions, as well as that final feat or ASI. This character uses a spear and shield and wears heavy armor. Choose either dueling or defense as your fighting style, and go with Oath of the Watchers for that sweet initiative increase for your whole party at level 7. Make sure you take shield as one of your hexblade spells. In combat, the HexPal serves as our main bulwark of defense. They have burst damage capability through Divine Smite, especially if they crit. They have good healing, especially at higher levels, with Lay on Hands able to restore 95 hit points in one pop at level 19. And they also have a little bit of battlefield control options with Sentinel, Abjure the Extraplanar, Banishment, and Banishing Smite. While exploring, they serve as the muscle. Not as strong as, say, a Goliath barbarian when it comes to lifting by themselves, but they can summon a warhorse and later on a rhinoceros if they needed brute force assistance. They can also serve as a very competent backup face of the group for social situations, given their high charisma and proficiencies in a couple of social skills. But the reason I brought them up first is because of their two amazing auras. Having +5 to all saving throws and ultimately a +6 to initiative for all of their allies within 30 feet passively is such a huge boon. The second member would be that mechanic with dreams of becoming an academic. Yeah, it's ArtiWizer, that Artificer 1 Wizard 19 multiclass. On the very low chance you don't know why you would start with one level of Artificer, it's so you can get Constitution saving throw proficiency right off the bat. It also gives us proficiency with medium armor and shields. You'll get the same amount of spell slots at level 20 as a straight classed wizard, but you only get Wish or other 9th level spells at level 18 instead of at level 17. We choose Half-Elf here to get additional skill proficiencies, dark vision, and the added defenses against being put to sleep and being charmed. In terms of feats and ASIs, I'd choose Warcaster, Fey Touch to increase our intelligence, Resilient Wisdom, maxing out our intelligence, and the Lucky Feat. We take the Sage background to get proficiency in Arcana, History, Acrobatics, Religion, Investigation, and Medicine. We choose the Order of Scribes because we want to have any and all spell scrolls we can get our hands on and copy them into our spellbooks. For context, a regular wizard needs a total of 18 working hours to copy a 9th level spell. A scribe's wizard? They require only 18 minutes! The fact that we can change the damage type of our spells according to those that we have available in our spellbooks just adds to our versatility. Because of the ridiculously low spell scribing time required, your versatility will only be limited by how much money and how many spell scrolls your DM will give you. There are certain spells I'd make sure to get by leveling up though. These are Shield, Absorb Elements, Silvery Barbs, Find Familiar, Counterspell, Polymorph, Wall of Force, Force Gauge, Simulacrum, Wish, and Shape Change. In combat, the ArtiWizer will be the best at controlling the battlefield and stymieing what the enemies want to do. Depending on the spell scrolls your DM gives you, they'll also be decent at dealing damage, especially AoE. Later on, given the extreme versatility of this particular wizard subclass, they can do pretty much whatever they want. While exploring, they'll be the main investigator for the most part until someone beats them at it at higher levels. They're fairly nimble given their proficiency in acrobatics. They'd probably have a spell that can help in most situations. During social interactions, they're going to be the resident smart person for all those knowledge-based checks. I guess these go for exploration too. The third member of the party will start out as that brooding ranger who seems to disappear in the darkness, and later on becomes the servant of a god. We take 8 levels of Gloomstalker Ranger and 12 levels of Cleric to complete our GloomPriest. I chose this to get the extra feat, but you could also choose to go Gloomstalker 7 Cleric 13 instead, so you get 7th level Cleric spells. Both options have the same number of spell slots. This character uses ranged weapons, and so will want to use the archery fighting style. Again, we choose Half-Elf for the extra skill proficiencies. I'm starting to see a trend here. We take the Urchin background to get proficiency in Stealth, Thieves' Tools, Sleight of Hand, Insight, Athletics, Survival, and Perception. We get expertise with Perception through the Ranger feature called Canny. What Cleric subclass should you choose? Life Domain would be viable for the cheap and very effective Life Berry strategy. You could also choose between Forge Domain to get a +1 weapon right off the bat, War Domain for Guided Strike, or that dirty Peace Domain for Emboldening Bond. These last 3 options would help you hit your target even while using Sharpshooter, which would be the first feat you should get. I recommend the following feats or ASIs. Sharpshooter, Elven Accuracy to increase your dexterity, maxing out your dexterity, take Resilient Constitution, and Crossbow Expert, Eldritch Adept to get Devil Sight or the Lucky Feat. your choice. Dread Ambusher from Gloomstalker, together with Elven Accuracy, means you have a fair chance of rolling with super advantage, and this just further increases the reliability of Sharpshooter. By taking Gloomstalker to at least level 7, you get proficiency in Wisdom saving throws without needing to get a feat, which means you can take Resilient Constitution down the line to protect your concentration. You'll need your concentration for cleric goodies like Spirit Guardians or Blade Barrier, which, if you didn't know, pairs really well with Wall of Force or Force Cage to put your enemies in a literal blender. Notable spells are Good Berry, Entangle, Rope Trick, and Pass Without Trace from Ranger, and then Healing Word, Aid, Spirit Guardians, Word of Recall, Blade Barrier, Hero's Feast, and Heal from Cleric. In combat, this character does great sustained damage, and will be the best healer. You might think it's strange. If the character is healing, then they're not dealing damage, right? Well, in-combat healing is not very efficient, even if you were playing a conventional healer cleric. This character has access to Healing Word as a bonus action to bring someone up in an emergency. At later levels, it can use Heal for a massive one-time health infusion mid-combat. But the most effective way for them to perform the healer function is to do it out of combat. One casting of Good Berry as a Life Domain cleric heals 40 hit points. Upcasting Aid at 8th level gives everyone 40 additional points to their maximum HP, so casting it before going into battle is a good idea. Hero's Feast gives a further increase to maximum hit points, and that can be done right before taking a long rest. Given the cleric kit, it can also do fairly well in dealing AoE damage in a pinch. While exploring, this character is our scout, tracker, lockpicker, and trap disarmer. They can also help as a backup strong person if something were to happen to the HexPal and their mounts. In social situations, the GloomPriest is the best at reading body language and determining hidden intent, as well as stealing from someone or planting something on them instead. The last member of our group would be the EloquHex, yet another one-level Hexblade dip, but this time with 19 levels of Eloquence Bard. Hexblade allows you to use Charisma for your hand crossbows at early levels, and also gives you access to medium armor and shields. You can also choose to go 2 levels of Hexblade and 18 levels of Bard instead, so you get 2 invocations, but you lose out on a feat or a ASI. A straight-classed Bard will have an extra level 6 and level 7 spell slot, but to me, the benefit from Hexblade starting at level 2 outweighs the extra spell slots at later levels, when your campaign is most likely wrapping up. Once again, we choose Half-Elf for the extra skill proficiencies and the nice stat bonuses. I recommend the following feats and ASIs. Warcaster, Fey Touched for our Charisma, Resilient Constitution, max out our Charisma, and get an even Strength or Intelligence score or take the Lucky feat. For the background, we choose Criminal or Spy to end up with proficiency in Stealth, Acrobatics, and Insight, as well as expertise in Deception, Persuasion, Perception, and Investigation. I recommend taking the following spells for your magical secrets: Counterspell, Wall of Force, Find Greater Steed, Simulacrum, Banishment, and Wish. In combat, the EloquHex provides a lot of buffing and debuffing utility with Bardic Inspiration and Unsettling Words. The Bard spell list has access to a number of control and debuff options too, like Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, and Silence. It also has access to some healing, including the all-important Healing Word to help bring someone up in a pinch. Jack of all trades and a bunch of skill proficiencies and expertise makes this character passable as a second option for most of the skills. I mean, with just a +0 modifier in Wisdom, it still has a +12 in Perception when it reaches level 17 because of expertise. Social situations is where this character shines. Expertise in Persuasion and Deception, plus the Silver Tongue feature, means this character can't roll below a 27 when trying to influence someone. Take a look at the team's saving throws. There's at least one person who is proficient with each of the 6. Here are the numerical bonuses. Already pretty decent. But with the HexPal aura, each saving throw is further boosted. This means there's likely to be at least one person who'll be able to avoid a devastating spell or effect regardless of the saving throw, and that one person is likely to have the tools to help their teammates recover. Everyone is a spellcaster, and with the Paladin's aura active, everyone is immune to losing concentration on their important spells by taking pot-shot damage. In terms of skill proficiencies, we could be proficient in a total of 23 skills spread out across the 4 characters. I could have chosen to cover every one of these 18 skills plus Thieves' Tools, which just leaves us 4 to double up on. But just based on my own anecdotal experience playing the game, some skills turn out to be more commonly used than others. Take the knowledge-based skills, for example. You can mix and match Arcana, Nature, Religion, and History to better suit your campaign. In this case, I dumped Nature. But if you're gonna be in the wilderness a lot, you could maybe dump History instead. Arcana and Religion seem to be the more commonly used skills of these 4. In a similar vein, Performance and Animal Handling checks haven't been quite as common for me, so I chose to dump them too. But you have the budget to get at least one person with proficiency in them if you wish. And there's my team. Even if one of them gets knocked out in combat, there's no facet that will be fully debilitated. If the HexPal goes down and they lose the aura, there's still at least one person who is proficient at each saving throw, buying time to get the HexPal back up. The GloomPriest can cover single target damage or defense in the meantime. Knock out the ArtiWizer and the EloquHex can take over some crowd control and AoE damage until the ArtiWizer is revived. Knock out the GloomPriest and the HexPal or the EloquHex can get them back up. The HexPal also naturally has access to Revivify and Raise Dead, so even if the GloomPriest fails 3 death saves somehow, there is still someone who can potentially bring them back. Knock out the EloquHex and the HexPal can still serve as a decent party face while the ArtiWizer takes over buffing and debuffing. None of them are the absolute best at their specializations, but as a group, they can do anything while having no glaring weaknesses. Hopefully it gives you some insight about building characters that fit your specific party and campaign, as compared to optimizing your own character in isolation. And by the way, this is also the kind of group I want to be part of in real life. I feel much safer being in a group of T-shaped people, even though they may not be the absolute best at their specializations, rather than being in a group of rock star specialists who are unable or, much worse, unwilling to step beyond their supposed roles. What do you think? Can you make improvements to my party? And what other agile party comps can you think of? Which member of that party would you be most interested to play yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hey, I'm Jarek, a Dungeon Master with a hobby in Agile Project Management. If you liked what I brought, please like the video. Appreciate it if you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I drop the next one. Until next time, my fellow adventurers in agility, bye.